Hello everyone, welcome to the very first session on writing an API using Gin framework in Golang. In this session, we'll understand what is Gin, how to install and use Gin in your local code. We'll understand certain things about Gin basics. We'll understand routing with Gin. We'll talk about get and post requests for an API within the Gin framework. We'll understand how query string can be handled within Gin. We'll understand how URL parameters can be handled within Gin. Now let's talk about what is a Gin. Gin is an HTTP framework written in Golang. So now it has gained its popularity because it is said to be up to 40 times faster than the Martini. Martini was the previous framework that was present in the Golang, and at some time it was said to be the fastest router available router framework in Golang. Now when Gin comes, so it becomes 40 times faster than Martini. This is one of the main reasons that it is very much popular among the developers. Now, the requirement for using the Gin framework is Go version 1.13 and above. Now, there are certain Gin features that has made it very popular. Now, first of all, obviously, it is the fastest HTTP router and the available framework. Now, it supports the complete suite of unit tests. Now, the other most important feature is the Gin developers guarantee that the new releases will not break our existing code in the Gin. Now, let's understand how we can use Gin in our code. Now, let's go to the GitHub of Gingonic. Now, they say to install Gin or to use Gin in your code, we have to just use two things. One is we have to install Go using go get command. We have to install Gin using this command in our local, and then we can import Gin in our local project and can use it. Now, let me do one thing here. So what I will do is I will import. So I have already installed Gin previously, but I will try to install Gin with go mod command rather than with this command, just to show you another way of how we can install Gin. Okay, so now what I will do is I'll say router. So I'm writing a program, and once I'm done with the program, I'll explain you each and every step of the program. Let's say Gin dot default. Now once I have created the this Gin dot default, after that I will say router dot get, and within this get I'll say get data. Now within this I'll say function, and this must be C asterisk Gin dot context. Now the definition of this is C dot JSON inside this function, and it is the output should be 200 code and begin dot h, and this should be say data stating hi, I am Gin framework, and then there is a comma in here. Okay, now let's see. So somehow, okay. Now see, here it is showing that could not import because the Gin framework and its dependency does not exist in my local right now. So since you can see I am using go.mod file. So what I will do is I'll fire go.mod.tidy command. I'll say go.mod.tidy and I'll press enter. Now as soon as I have pressed enter, go.mod has gone to each and every file of my project. It will find all the third-party dependencies, those are not installed, and it will install in my system. You say it says finding module. So it found this module and it has installed this module in my local. Now let's see, it has created, as you see, all the dependencies related to the Gin are installed and have been entered in my Go mod file. If you want to learn more about go.mod file, what module dependencies in Go, and learn more about it, then you can look into the Golang tutorial where I've explained everything about it. Now let's run this program. Before we run this program, let me explain you each and every line of this program. Now, this first line that says gin.default, this simply means that it will create a Gin router with a default middleware, that is for logger and for recovery. Now, when I say logger, it means that it will log every request by default for us. Now, when I say recovery, it means this is crash free. Now, if, like what exactly I mean that in case of server error, GIN will automatically set the response code as 500, that is internal server error, set it in a JSON format and return it to the callee. Maybe it can be one of the callee can be browser. Now, here, what I have done is I have created a router using gin.default. This has created a router or a server with default logger and recover. Now, the next thing comes is router.get. Now, this route has all the functions available within it. Let's see, here I'm using router. So, if you can see, it is router.get, router.post, router.delete, router.put, router.pass. So all the HTTP methods are available here. Now this thing says nothing. This thing says that, okay, if the route is coming as a get request and the route is get data, then call this function. Simply saying this, nothing else. Now, what this is saying, this is actually, this function is an handler that contains an GIN context. Now, what this GIN context is, this GIN context actually contains information about the response as well as the request. Every bit of information about the request and the response, both of them are containing in this single context. Now, c.json means context.json. It's an object of and response writer. That simply means that whatever will have it in c.json will be returned as a JSON response. 200 is the response code. Gin.h means that it's a kind of interface where we are saying that, okay, return this output in the form of JSON with an response code of 200 to the callee. So once I have written this, I will say router.run. If I will not give any parameter, that simply means that my GIN framework will take a default parameter of 8080 and my program will run at 8080. If I want to run my program at any other port apart from 8080, I can make use of it. Say, for example, 5000. Now my program will run it for 5000 port. If I do not give anything, my program will run at 8084. Now let's run the program here. Okay, so it says, okay, server is listening on port 8080. Now let's see. I will say localhost, port 8080, get data. Okay, so it says, hi, I am a GIN framework. You know how it is easy, how easy it is using a GIN framework to handle a get request. In a similar way, we can also handle the post request. Now, before I'll tell you how we can handle a post request, let me show you one more thing. Now, this is actually a handler function that we have written here. Now, what if I want to change this handler function? I mean, what if I want to make my code a bit modular? I'll say get data and I'll copy it here. I'll say func get data. Now things are same now. Previously I was writing the definition of the handler here itself. Now I'm saying if the request is get, the route is get data, then call this get data function and this get data function is here. It says, okay, whenever get data will come, this function will be called. It will create a context of the get GIN. It will return it in the form of a JSON. 200 will be the response code and this will be the data which will be returned with the as a form of a JSON. Now let's talk about another thing. And if I will say, if I want to handle about the post, let's talk about post. Now I will say get data post. Now the method should be get data post. Now let's see. Here I will write another method called get data post. Hi, I am post method from in framework. Now let's run the program for you again here. Okay. Now for sending a post request, I will have to use Postman. Now post data request will be same. The only thing is the router says I am get data post. Now let's come to here. Now let's come, first let's run the get request. It will say get data. Okay, so it says, hi, I am GIN. The response status is 200 here. Now let's convert it into a post, and the route name is get data post. Now let's send it. Okay, so the response is hi, I am post method from the Git framework. See, now this is so easy to do everything with Gin framework. Now, when I was explaining you about the Gin.default method, I have told you that a default logger is attached with the Gin framework that writes everything to the console. Now, let me show you what exactly I meant by that. Now, my API is running here, and I have made a quite call twice. Once it was for the get, the other one it was for the post. Everything is logged here. Now, let's try to understand before this what exactly this is saying here. Now, when I run the program, it says it has created an instance engine with the logger and recovery middleware already attached. Why it is saying that? Because we have made use of gin.default. Now it is saying, okay, we can leave this for this now. Now it is saying now there is a one method called get. The route associated with it is get data. Now there are three handlers attached to it. One handler is get data and two are the internal to the Gin framework. I can show you here. This is the route. This is one handler attached to it. Similar to post and the handler attached to it. Same is the here. Now it says, okay, get data. This is being called and it takes 251.6 microseconds to respond. And now it has given a status code of 200. Post as well is in status code of 200. Let me try running the post one more time. You see there's one more entry here. If I will run post one more time, there'll be run one more entry here. So this is the benefit of using the gin.default. Now let me show you one more thing. Rather than gin.default, I can also make use of gin.new. But using this, it will not attach the default logger and the recovery mechanism, but it will behave in the same way. The program can be run in the same way. Let's see, I have run the program. It is listening on 8080. Now let me run it to see. I can get the output, but nothing is being logged. But what if I want to use the gin.new and I want to attach the logger as well? So I can see router.use and I can see what? I can see logger, gin.logger. If I will do it like this, the output will start logging in the console as it would have been previously. So it was just for letting you know of how we can do it. Now, let's come to the another part of GIMP. That is, what if I want to read the body in the post method? Right now, this is the post data method. So normally we use post because we want to send something in the post body. Now, what we have to do for reading the body in the post? So what we have to do is there's only one context available in GIMP framework to us is the GIMP context, and it has everything related to that. Now let me tell you how we can do it. Now I will say body, initialize the body. I will say c dot request dot body. Now you see body is of type, it returns io dot read closer, but I want to read the body as what? As a string. So for this, what I will do is I will say value ioutil dot, why it is not giving? Yes, read all, and I will read the body. Now still what it is, okay, so it read all returns an error as well. I do not care about it. Now here I will say post method from gin and I will say the body data is, I will say I want to typecast to string and the body data is value. Done. So what it will return is whatever will pass in the body, what it will do is it will attach this node body data and all the data will be present here. Now let's see it. Let me start this. Okay, so it has started. Now let me go back here and in the body, what should I say? Let me add this in the raw. I will say, let's see, post testing reading body value from HTTP method post. So this is what I'm sending, and now let's send it. You see, it has two nodes. One node is data. I am post method from Gin framework. The other one is whatever I have sent from here. Now it is being sent and converted to JSON here. So this is how exactly we are we can make use of get and post in Gin. Now let's talk about how we can handle query strings with Gin. Now suppose my URL is like this. I'll say http slash localhost colon say 8080 slash get query string, and then there's a question mark where I say name equal to mark and age equal to say 30. Now, if my query is like this or my URL is like this, now anything that we append after the question mark is called query string, and we can separate different name value pairs or the key value pairs in the query string using and. This means that this is a query string and there are two key value pairs. Name is mark, one key value pair, age is 30. Second key value pair. What if my query string is like this and my URL is like this, that is with the query string, and I have to fetch the values of the query string from the Gin framework. That's pretty easy using Gin framework. Now let me show you here. Now I will say get query string. Now with this, the method name should also be get query string. Now let's write the method. One more method here. It says get query string. Get query string. Now I will say the first is name. So C dot query and the name of the key. I'll get the value for the name. Now age, I'll say C dot query and I'll get the value of the age. So see how easy it is. If it would have been a plain Golang, then I would have to use either regex or some sort of string manipulations to identify each key value pairs, and I have to do, basically I have to do a lot of stuff. But with Gin, it is pretty easy, huh? Now, what if I want to add these things? Now I will say name, and I will say age is age. Now I say hi, I am in get query string method, and it is printing the value. Now let me run the program for you here, make you understand of how it is. So what this will do is this will basically return this as a JSON. This will return this as a JSON, and the value of name, whatever I will give, will be printed here, and the age will be printed in the age. Now it has said, okay, it is served. I'm listening on 8080. Now let's see in the 8080, it is the route is this, name is Mark, age is 30. Now let's see. It says age is 30, data is high. I am in the query string method, and name is Mark. Now let's change the Mark name from Mark to James and age to 50. Now let's see. Okay, it says age is 50, data is this, and name is James. Now the next thing that we want to understand is what if your router is like this? Instead of query string, you have to fetch data from URL param. Now the data is, say for example, name. It says get URL data, and it says name is Mark and age is 30. Now, what if your data is like this? Now, how you can fetch data using this? Now, let me show you here. Let me first query function copy this function, paste it here. Just change the name of the function here. inside this, and I will add one more router, and this router will be get URL data. Method name as well is get URL data. Now you see it says c dot param, c dot param. See how it is, how easy it is. Param c param a. Now this with this there is one more thing we have to do now. That thing is in this URL data we have to tell GIN framework that okay, this is a dynamic parameter and the key for it is name. This is a dynamic parameter. Now key for this is age. Now this will automatically create a key value pair internally within the game. So that's why we can get this value by using the param. Okay, so I'm sorry, there is one mistake I have done in here. Now the URL should be like this. So what it will do is in the name of in the here this name value will automatically come as mark, age value will become as 30, and we can ultimately print it again. So this method is get URL data. Now let me run this program for you to show you how this will work. Let me allow access to it. Now let me show you here. It says say and I am James, say I am 50 years old. Okay, yeah. Method is get URL data, not the get source thing. See, age is 50, name is James. Now if I will say he is Mark and age is 30, so automatically it will be 10. So this is all about the GIN framework that I have to told in this session. In the move proceeding lessons, there are a lot of things to come regarding the GIN framework. Do subscribe and like my video if you like everything. Please subscribe the channel. Thank you very much, guys.